Hello friends, welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make a strawberry soda pop cake. So before we get going with our recipe, one thing you probably will need to know is you're going to need a pan to bake this in. And in this situation, it's probably best to have one of these throwaway pans that you can buy from someplace like Dollar Tree or whatever. This costs $1.25, but the best thing about this is you can bake your cake in it, but it comes with a lid, and you're going to need a lid that isn't going to be anywhere near this cake because the top of this has like this really fluffy topping on it. You don't want to wrap that with plastic wrap or whatever because it'll stick to it, but this is perfect, and for $1.25 it's a deal. So as you can see, I have a general white cake mix here. I have some eggs, I have butter, and I have milk. Guess what? That's not what the box tells you to make it with, because yes, you do need the 4 eggs for the egg whites, but instead of the water that goes into this or the oil, we're going to swap it out for milk and for butter because it's going to have a better taste. Because I don't know how many times you made a cake mix and you taste it and it kind of tasted oily or heavy or whatever. Well, that's because on the back of this box it says add 1 1/4 cups of water. We're swapping that for 1 1/4 cup of milk. And then it says you want a 1/2 cup of oil. We don't want oil. We're going to do a stick of butter. Because when you do this, it's just going to make this so much like a bakery style cake. It's going to taste so much better. So we're going to take our throwaway pan here, spray it with some nonstick cooking spray, set it to the side, and then in a large bowl we're dumping in our cake mix and make sure all of that gets in there. And then we're going to add those ingredients that I had before. So you're going to put in your stick of butter already melted and pour that over top of the cake mix. And then we're going to add 4 egg whites. This is a white cake mix. You only want the egg whites so that way it stays white, because if you put the actual yolks in there, it's going to turn yellow. So once we have that in, then we're adding in our milk. Now, it might just be that on the back of your package it says a different amount of water than what I said. So you're going to put as much milk in as it calls for water. And then when we get this all together in here, we're going to mix this up, and we want to get this completely mixed through. Now, you're going to preheat your oven to whatever it says on your packaging. Now, mind you, that pan that we're using is a 9x13 probably. So you're going to have to preheat your oven to probably about 350 degrees or so and get it ready for this. But follow the directions on your actual cake mix. And whatever cook time it says for that size of a pan is what you're going to use. Because if I'm not mistaken, mine was in the oven for at least 30 to 35 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and mix this up completely, get it ready to go before we put it into our pan. And now we're back with our pan where we're putting this in. And once this is in here, we got it all smoothed out. We're going to bake this just as normally baking a cake. There's no difference to it at this point. So make sure you get everything scraped out of your bowl and in there, because we don't really want to waste any of this. And the good thing is the cake mix in this large pan is going to actually bake up to quite a decently sized cake. But when you change out the butter and you change out the milk for the water and the oil, it actually makes a lighter, fluffier, taller cake to begin with. And that's a great thing because, you know, I grew up eating these cakes. I loved them. My mother made them, but she used the oil and she used the water. And, you know, it's one of those things where once you taste the difference in what I do to this as to what old school would have been, it's really different because this is so light, so fluffy. It's not a heavy cake at all, but it has such a great fruity, wonderful taste once you put the original ingredients in here. Like you put your cake and your strawberry and your gelatin and all this together, it's wonderful. So once our cake is in the oven, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part, which is going to be the gelatin mix of this. So you're going to need 3 ounces of strawberry Jello. You're going to need 1 1/2 cups of boiling water and 12 ounces of strawberry soda to make this work. And what we're going to do is bring our water to a boil first, so that way we can actually get ready to dissolve the Jello into it. So dump in your strawberry gelatin as soon as you've gotten your water hot enough, and we're going to stir this until it completely dissolves before we do anything else to it, because we want to make sure that there's no grit in this, there's no like debris still left over. You want to mix it up completely, make sure everything is totally melted, and then we're going to actually add in our strawberry soda. So, and in case you're wondering, well, where do I get strawberry soda? Believe it or not, they sell it at Walmart. You can go to a lot of different stores and find this. A lot of companies still make it. It's really not that hard. Look it up online and they'll actually tell you who sells it where. It's that easy. That's what I did, because I found out you can go to Walmart and get this. I was kind of shocked. So once you get that all dissolved, we're going to add in our strawberry soda, and then we're going to stir this until everything just really is combined together, and make sure that all of that is mixed, because we're going to get this soda mixed in with the gelatin to make what's going to be poured over top of the cake when we get to the next part of this. So go ahead and stir it up and make sure that it is completely in there. There's no residue or anything from your gelatin, and then we're going to set this to the side and get ready to use it. So I poured mine into a measuring cup to make it easier for me to pour over my cake, and I have something to poke holes with because this is basically a poke hole cake. So I am basically using a chopstick. You can use whatever you like to do this. I'm not trying to make super large holes in this cake because you really don't need them. You just need something like this. And basically just go all the way down the side, all the way up the cake, around, everywhere. Just make lines of holes. So that way when you pour this over top, this is going to actually soak right into these holes, and it's going to go into the cake and kind of give it like this marbleized look, to where you got all of this strawberry gelatin, strawberry soda mix all up inside the cake itself. So some of the cake is still going to remain white looking, but some of it is going to be red. So if you've never seen one of these before, you're going to get this burst of flavor from this strawberry Jello mix inside of your cake, which is actually just going to give it the best flavor. And then when you put the topping on it, it's just an amazing thing to eat. This is just so great. So go ahead and make as many holes as you can across here without totally pulverizing the top of the cake. And once you got plenty of these in, then we're going to literally pour the mixture over top of it. So just do it a little at a time. We're not trying to like pour the whole thing at once. We want to pour it slowly so that way it has time to actually soak down into the holes. So go ahead across the whole cake and make sure that you get it coated. Now I do this a little, I stop and let it soak in, and then I'll do it a little bit more, just so that way it doesn't all just run off the top and go down the side. Now it is going to do that, but in the end this works really well because you want to try to get as much in the holes on top as possible, and then some of it in the bottom as well. So we're going to send our cake off to sit in the refrigerator, chill, and set up, and we're going to go ahead and make the topping for this. And you're going to need 3.5 ounces of instant vanilla pudding, an 8-ounce container of Cool Whip, and a cup of milk. And we're going to mix this all together to make the topping for this cake. And I have to tell you, this is the best tasting topping you're ever going to want to eat, because it just has such a great flavor once you mix it up, and it's just wonderful. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dump in our instant pudding mix, and then to that we're going to add our cup of milk. And we're going to mix this up. You know, you can whisk it, do whatever, until we get it completely mixed through, because we want to make sure that this is completely mixed up, that we get all the dry ingredients from the bottom of the bowl into it, but we want to mix it up and get it to start thickening. And then we're going to come to, after this, with our Cool Whip and fold it into it to make this topping. So go ahead and just mix it up. Do this for as long as it takes to get it to a point where you know that it's a thicker consistency and ready to be used. And we're just going to keep going with this until we get it completely done. So this might take about a minute or so to do, but just stir it until you feel a little bit of a resistance, like it is thickening, and that makes sure that there are no dry pieces of anything floating around in this from the original powder. So get it done, bring in your Cool Whip. And when you can do this with the Cool Whip, you can just literally take your Cool Whip, take something, scrape it across the bowl, get it all out of there, and dump it into your pudding mix, because we're literally just going to fold this in until the two incorporate into one. And it's going to be this really light, fluffy, the best tasting thing. It's like vanilla but wonderful, because it's going to have the Cool Whip in it, it's going to have the vanilla pudding mix. It's just going to be a wonderful thing, and trust me, when you eat this you will know what I'm talking about. So once we get everything in there, just take a spatula and just fold it in, because you can stir it up a little bit and then just fold over until it just starts to mix together. Because you're going to notice that, you know, you have this yellow in the bottom from the vanilla pudding mix, but once it starts to mix in with the Cool Whip, they're going to start blending together, and it's going to be more of one just straight out lighter color. And just do this until you find that there is no more of that yellow coming from the bottom of your bowl. So it might take a minute to do this, because you want to make sure that you don't have ribbons of the vanilla pudding still showing. But this is going to mix together to make a thicker consistency than the Cool Whip, because it's not really heavy or anything like that, but it's just a thicker mix. and we're going to do this until it's completely done. Now mind you, our cake is still in the refrigerator, and we're going to have that cake in there probably for, you know, at least a half an hour or so, because we want it really chilled before we do anything else to this. Because, you know, when you put the stuff on for pouring over top of the hot cake with your hot gelatin mix, you need to get that cool before we put anything like this on top of it. So, and really it's probably a half an hour or so to whatever time in your fridge. Just feel the bottom of the cake pan and you know if it's still warm inside. So now we brought back our cake, and what we're going to do is just scrape all of this out of your bowl on top of the cake. And then once it's all out of your bowl and on top of there, we're going to smooth it so that way it's just one big flat sheet of it. And trust me, there's plenty of this to go around here because this will cover this whole large cake. And that's a wonderful thing. So just go ahead and make sure you don't leave any in the bowl. Get as much as you can, and then just smooth it back and forth as you can. And that's basically it. You're going to coat this. Now once you get this smoothed out all over top of here and everything, you could stop at this point, but we're not going to, because we're going to put some strawberries on this, because I think that just makes it a little bit better, because to have some actual fresh strawberries, amazing. So one thing you need to know about this cake is you need to refrigerate it once it's done. It needs to stay cold, because you've got so much going on here that this cannot sit on your counter, so don't do that. But we're going to set it up in a way that it's going to be perfectly wonderful going in your fridge. All you need to do is just cut it and go, and this can last in your fridge for a couple of days. It's not even a problem having it in there, because when I made mine, I literally had it in my fridge for like 3-4 days and it still stayed. And the best thing was that this topping on here stayed. It wasn't like something that broke down or started to go bad. It really lasted. So we're going to take some strawberries, slice them up into decently thin slices. We're not talking huge ones. And we're just going to go through, you know, probably like a quarter of a package of strawberries. We're not doing a lot. All we want to do is make some lines of strawberries across the top of this, because if you're going to decide like how big you think a piece of this should be for somebody, just put one piece of strawberry where that one piece should be and just repeat it across. Now, you know, some people eat more cake than others, some people eat less. It's not anything that you can really, you know, get perfect, but just go ahead and cut these up and do the best you can with it to a way that it looks really nice and neat, and when people are ready to eat it, it'll look wonderful. So as you can see, just a few strawberries cuts up into a lot here. It really isn't a chore to do this part of it. I think it's just really neat to make it look kind of nice. And once we get it all done, we're just going to run these across the top, and I'm just making lines across it. It's all there is to it. And you know, you can make like 4 lines going straight across the lengthwise of this thing. It's like, it wouldn't be that hard to fill this up with completely with strawberries, but it'd be hard to cut. So we're just going to go ahead and do this around here and just layer them over top of it, and you know, try to put them in the right direction, not like what I just did and goofed it up and turned it the wrong way and had to go back and fix it. But you know, it is what it is. It's just what it is. But this has the best taste, and I remember growing up, my mom made this all the time, and I loved eating it. I just thought it was one of the best things in the world because it was so light, and it's nothing heavy about this at all. This is just like a light fruity thing. This is perfect for warmer temperatures. It's something that, you know, you could take this on a picnic or something if you wanted. You could have this for a dessert for a party or whatever, and everybody will love it because it has such a wonderful taste to it. And if you love strawberries, this is for you. But, you know, it's just one of those things where until you've tasted it, you don't know how good this is. But I'll tell you what, it's really worth it. And this is what mine looked like when I cut it. And I got to tell you, this was so amazing. And I hope you try this recipe because I think you'll really like it. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.